Today's explainer completely decodes the real math behind extreme success, and fair warning, it is absolutely not what you think.
It immediately shatters the illusion we've all been sold. I mean, we constantly hear that to be wildly successful, you just need to have clear goals and be incredibly disciplined. But really think about it for a second. Is that actually uncommon? No way. Lots of hardworking, everyday people have goals and practice immense discipline in their daily lives. Bill Gates didn't just get to where he is simply because he set a few goals, right? Doing things that the vast majority of normal, functional adults already do is definitely not the secret cheat code to vaulting past 99% of humanity.
Which brings us to the obsession of the decade. We really have to ask, do these rigid morning routines, or going into what the internet loves to call monk mode, actually make you successful? If you search for this stuff online, you're going to find hundreds, maybe thousands of videos telling you to just remove all distractions and live like a literal monk. But here is the massive logical flaw in that whole line of thinking. If an action is incredibly common, like if you can literally find thousands of tutorials teaching millions of people exactly how to do it, then by definition, doing it cannot make you more successful than 99% of people. You are simply joining a really crowded bandwagon. Look at the most massively successful people in history. You're going to find almost nothing resembling monkish behavior among them.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive gap between what we're told and how reality actually works. The common advice is safe, you know? It's highly marketable, and it hyper-focuses on optimizing your routine. But the real secret? It's elegantly simple, yet brutally difficult. To be more successful than everybody else, you need to be willing to do what everybody else completely refuses to do. Most of those productivity hacks and crazy morning routines you hear about, they just don't matter when it comes to achieving extreme outsized success. They might make you slightly more efficient, sure, but they absolutely aren't the engine of greatness.
If you don't believe that perfect execution and super healthy routines are overrated, get a load of this incredible anecdote from our source. When the author started his business in his mid-20s, his routine was an absolute nightmare. He woke up at 11 a.m. every single day. He'd grab a Red Bull, a pack of Reese's peanut butter cups, crawl right back under the covers, and just sit on his laptop. He did this consistently for 3 years. And you know what happened? He built a 6-figure business doing exactly that. Not a single freezing ice bath or meditation cushion in sight. It just completely shatters the idea that a pristine aesthetic lifestyle is some strict prerequisite for high-level achievement.
So if it isn't the magical morning routine, what is it? Well, here is the actual formula for extreme success. We call it the correct contrarian framework. Step 1, you absolutely must have a contrarian idea, meaning you actively disagree with the general consensus. Most people fail right here because, let's face it, they just go with the flow. Step 2, you have to actually be correct about that idea. This is, without a doubt, the hardest part, because most contrarian ideas are just horribly, embarrassingly wrong. And step 3, you must execute massively. Now notice how society almost exclusively obsesses over step 3. Execution is what gets discussed because it's easy to observe and it's super easy to replicate. Anyone can put in the work. But putting in the work on a perfectly correct, highly unpopular idea, now that is what creates a titan.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the massive gap between what we choose to idolize and what actually causes success. Take Steve Jobs, for instance. He wasn't a visionary just because he woke up early and ate bizarre, massive quantities of fruit. He was Steve Jobs because he believed a full decade before anyone else that a computer would one day sit on every single desk in the entire world. And he was right. Or look at Warren Buffett. Every single morning, he eats the exact same McDonald's breakfast, but he's not the greatest investor alive because of his sausage McMuffin. He's Warren Buffett because he consistently identified extremely valuable companies that everyone else thought were terrible, bought them, and then had the unnatural patience to wait literally decades. We idolize the mundane habits, but the contrarian moves are the whole shebang. They're what actually built their empires.
And hey, if we want to talk about how incredibly messy the real world of success actually is, look no further than history's most famous figures. You want to know how Thomas Edison famously worked multiple days straight and slept only 1 hour a night in his lab? Spoiler alert, it wasn't mindfulness. It was cocaine. Seriously, that is basically why we have the light bulb. Or how about Winston Churchill? The man essentially won World War II while sitting in a bathtub drinking scotch all day long. Go look it up. The reality of outside success is almost never some serene, perfectly balanced retreat. It is chaotic, it is messy, and it completely defies conventional self-improvement advice.
12. Just 12. Over 58 years of managing Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett recently stated that his massive, world-altering success was the product of just about a dozen truly good decisions. A dozen, over 6 decades! That is just mind-blowing.
It proves that discovering and betting on just one correct contrarian idea is infinitely more powerful than 100 hyper-optimized daily habits. If you find that one thing that 100x's your results, the other 99 things, like whether you use a standing desk or put butter in your coffee, they literally do not matter.
Let's move on and see how this builds. We've talked about what it actually takes to get into that top 1%, but before you run off to become some obscenely successful contrarian, we really need to talk about the dark side. Because the harsh reality is, you might not actually want to get ahead of 99% of people. Like most important things in life, achieving this level of extreme success is definitely not simple, and it comes with a severe psychological and social toll that nobody on the internet is actually warning you about.
Let's walk through exactly why this path is so grueling. First off, nobody likes contrarians, at least not initially. When you first start pursuing unusual, totally unproven ideas, people will straight up think you're crazy. When the author quit his safe corporate job back in 2008 to start a digital business, half his friends just abandoned him. And his family, they genuinely thought he might be a drug dealer because he suddenly had all this mysterious internet money. Second, to be correctly contrarian, you have to be incorrectly contrarian a lot. Most contrarian ideas are unpopular because they are completely wrong, meaning you will spend a lot of time failing miserably and embarrassingly. And third, and perhaps most crucially, extreme success absolutely does not fix your life.
Which brings us to the amplifier effect. Extreme success does not create happiness. Actually, scratch that. It doesn't create anything new at all. It just takes who you already are and how you already feel, and it amplifies it. A lot of people fantasize about massive success because they think it's going to finally bring them validation and erase all their insecurities. It won't. If you are an angry person right now, getting ahead of 99% of people will just make you a much angrier person with way more power. If you are depressed, it'll make you more depressed. It really only improves the relationships and feelings that were already pretty great to begin with.
So the crucial point is, we really have to stop asking how to get ahead of 99% of people and start asking this one fundamental question. Why do I want to become more successful than 99% of people? Are you pursuing a correct contrarian idea because you believe in it so deeply that you literally can't imagine doing anything else? Or are you just chasing enough money to buy a nice car and flex on Instagram? Because if it's the latter, you really don't need to be in the 1% to do that. Before you go and sacrifice your comfort, your closest relationships, and your sanity to find that one contrarian truth, make absolutely sure you are setting the right definition of success for yourself in the first place. Think about it. See you next time on The Explainer.